Welcome to the virtual awards presentation for the 2022 to 23 Third Coast Richard H. Driehaus Foundation competition. I'm Maya. I'm one of the co-directors at Third Coast.
And I'm Emily, the other co-director.
We're so grateful that you're here watching this with us. We are beyond thrilled that we got to gather in person in Chicago with audio makers this past weekend, but we really miss convening with audio communities from all around the world. And that's why we're coming to you directly wherever you are for this virtual awards presentation. It's part of our summer programming series, which is a new initiative that we're piloting to try to create programming that's as accessible and inclusive as possible. We're excited to share more with you about our audio maker reconvening and the collective listen and takeover at the Music Box in Chicago, the 2 in-person programs that we did. And we're excited to also continue sharing out more virtual programming with you via announcements on our showcase.
But before we get started, we just wanted to say a few quick words of thanks. First, to our listening team, Jackson Roach, Phoebe Wang, Eddie Hustleby. With the 2 of us, this team listened to every single entry that came through the doors of the competition, and we've read every word you've written to us about your experience in the industry. We're so grateful to hear from all of you. Second, we wanted to thank our 21 final round judges of the competition for all of the time and the energy and the careful consideration and the boundless passion and curiosity for the art form that they put into all of the work that they did in reviewing the entries into the competition. To learn more about those judges, visit our competition showcase at www.thirdcoastawards.org. There, you can also learn more about the winners of this year's competition, plus our 44 finalists. And if you're as excited as we are about supporting audio makers and showcasing excellent work being made in this field, we really hope you'll consider making a donation to Third Coast. We're really passionate about this audio community. We're passionate about making our programming accessible, and we really want to see you shine. We'll put a link in the chat. Thank you.
Today we'll be honoring the 11 exceptional award winners from this year's competition across 9 categories. Don't be shy to jump into the chat and voice your support there. And as always, we are so grateful to the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation for their support of the Third Coast competition. Before we get started, we're going to kick it to Nick Burt from the foundation to say a few words about this year's competition. Here's Nick.
Welcome everyone to the virtual award celebration for the 2022-2023 Third Coast Richard H. Driehaus Foundation competition. My name is Nick Burt, and I'm a program officer at the Driehaus Foundation, and I want to thank you for joining us in celebration of the 22nd year of this storied competition. Over the past 2 decades, Third Coast has honored hundreds of producers, speaking to the boundless creativity of makers in the audio field. This year, the competition received the largest pool of submissions ever, with more than 1,000 hours of audio stories entered from around the world. The 11 winning stories represent some of the most compelling and exceptional pieces of audio made this year worldwide. We're honored to help celebrate this work. And a special note from us. As many of you may know, each year we fund the creation of 11 handcrafted radios made by a local artisan here in Chicago. This radio is based on a real 1930s Crosley and was conceptualized and designed as a tribute to our organization's founder, Richard H. Driehaus. Every award-winning team will receive one of these as your award, and when you turn it on, it will play the winning piece. On behalf of our team, congratulations to all of this year's competition winners and finalists who add their work to the competition's growing history and continue to push forward the boundaries of audio storytelling.
The award for Best New Artist goes to a work made by an outstanding emerging producer, or group of producers, who entered the audio field within 2 years of the publication of their entry. This award is intended to lift up newcomers to the medium who are developing work in any genre or length. This year's winner of the Best New Artist Award is Life Partners, created by Christina Hardinge and Hania Ferez. From the United Kingdom, Life Partners recounts the highs and lows of a 33-year-old woman's longest relationship. Here's an excerpt.
Our relationship is loving and forgiving. Our relationship is a lot of work. Our relationship is supportive, neglectful, fun and playful, so up and down, insecure, intimate, really influenced by others. Mine and B's relationship is a life partnership. When me and B were kids, we were besties. Always together and always having so much fun. Every day was just this big adventure together. And yeah, there wasn't really anything I didn't like about B in the beginning.
It is such a huge honour to be accepting a Third Coast Award for Life Partners. As the producer, I want to first and foremost thank Hanya Fares, whose story this is. Hanya is a very close and dear friend of mine, and I am immensely grateful for her courage and her trust in accepting my invitation to go on this very unique process and journey with me of reframing her relationship with her body as a living, breathing life partnership. I've asked Hanya if she'd like to share some words with you today, and she would. So we're going to hear from her now.
When I found out that Life Partners had won this award, I was just a bit blown away and just felt really grateful and really proud. And the process of making Life Partners, it has allowed me to go to new levels of compassion and love for myself. And I really hope that it does the same for other people. So thank you so much for recognizing the importance of this story. And yeah, very, very grateful. Thank you.
The original inspiration for Life Partners came from my studies as a counsellor, where I was particularly drawn to the process of externalization, which is the act of externalizing a lived experience as an object or a character and seeing how that distance might allow new perspectives to emerge. And I was interested in how this might ethically be adapted into a tool for documentary storytelling, which is when I invited Hanya to collaborate with me. The first step was creating the character, which we did in a series of facilitated workshops, asking the question, who is Hanya's body as a living, breathing character? And as B started to emerge, we were able to go into a more conventional interview space and ask all the questions that you would of any other relationship. And from that, scenes developed, and over time, we had a whole life story of a lifelong relationship. Finally, I want to say a huge thank you to Eleanor McDowell and Alan Hall at Falling Tree for their consistently generous, kind, and compassionate support of new audio artists like myself. This work would not have been possible without the vital space that Shortcuts offers for experimentation and exploration. And yeah, I absolutely intend to keep making work like this. So thank you for this award and the encouragement it gives me to do that.
The Best News Feature Award honors exceptional news features reported worldwide on any platform. This category was created to honor fact-based stories that report on, interpret, or analyze the news, often on a tight deadline. This year, the winner of the Best News Feature Award is It Started in the Fourth Grade Building, from the Post Reports. It Started in the Fourth Grade Building was reported by Aurelius Hernandez and John Woodrow Cox. The Post Reports is hosted by Martine Powers. This episode was produced by Rennie Svirnovsky, Andrea Salcedo, and Emma Talkoff, with engineering and additional production by Ted Muldoon. It was edited by Rena Flores. From the United States, It Started in the Fourth Grade Building takes us into the heart of the deadliest school shooting in nearly a decade, through the eyes of the children who lived it.
Julissa, how old are you?
I'm 9.
9. Did you ever imagine that anything like this would happen at your school?
Well, yes, that's why I'm scared to go in the restrooms, because I'm scared that someone's gonna pop up. So I don't like to go to the restrooms at my school. I stay in my classroom.
And what was your reaction to hearing her story?
I cried. Here was this child who, had gone to school, or it was a day of celebration. There was an awards assembly that had happened at around 9 o'clock at the school, where kids were getting certificates for things like perfect attendance and AB honor roll and any number of things. And so parents and grandparents had been there just a few hours before. And, they're just a few days from summer vacation. And to hear sort of Julissa have struggled to put together what had happened and the harm that had been visited upon her and her classmates was really difficult. She was jittery. She kept bouncing around, as we were talking. And I just remember, I kept looking at her grandmother to see, how things were going. And I think, to some degree, both of them were still struggling to wrap their heads around what was happening.
Were it not for the honor of working with the Post Reports team, I'm not sure I would know how to accept this recognition. Because the work depicts May 24th, 2022, the worst day in the lives of many I've come to care about. Turns out it might also be one of my worst days too. I did not want to take that phone call that day from Post Reports producers because I was navigating my own heartbreak while attempting to relate the complexity of everything that was happening around me. The two voices you hear early in the segment belong to Julissa and Marcela, granddaughter and grandmother. They were the first people I met in Uvalde, just a few blocks from Robb Elementary School. It was all so unfair. Unfair that Julissa had to hide behind a curtain that would not have stopped bullets. Unfair that she would struggle to sleep for weeks. And it is so unfair that she lives with these memories today. But in having Post Reports producers and crew capture that horror, I've come to understand that this reporting team helped dignify the loss and this family's suffering. We honor those killed and hurt by the shooting with our outrage and raw, impactful storytelling. Thank you to Third Coast for recognizing this amazing Post Reports team who understood the importance of this moment and fashioned a program that was all things insightful, empathetic, and mournful. It's our hope that by sharing these stories, we can foster compassion. We are indebted to the Washington Post and our leaders for giving us space to go deeper into this medium and to show its power. Finally, may this award serve as a reminder of the sacred responsibility that journalists wield in finding and elevating the voices of those at the center of these stories, and to stay, even when it hurts. Thank you very much.
The Impact Award recognizes an audio story that has made a significant impact on an individual or community, broadly defined. We're looking for work in the audio field that has directly resulted in a change to a place, community, law, or culture. This can be an investigative report that influenced public debate, a radio story that changed the course of an individual's life, or a piece of audio that affected the awareness or understanding of a community in a new way. This year's winner of the Impact Award is Sold a Story: How Teaching Kids to Read Went So Wrong. Sold a Story was reported and hosted by Emily Hanford with additional reporting from Christopher Peak. It was edited by Catherine Winter. Chris Julin provided original music, mixing, and sound design, with additional mixing and sound design from Emily Havoc. Will Callan, Cole Marie Rivera, and Angela Caputo provided additional research and reporting. Andy Cruz and Dave Mann were the digital editors. Betsy Towner-Levine was the fact checker. Jim Brunberg and Ben Landsverk composed the theme music. engineering by Derek Ramirez, Alex Simpson, and Cameron Wiley. From the United States, Sold a Story, How Teaching Kids to Read Went So Wrong, investigates an idea about how children learn to read that's held sway in schools for more than a generation, even though it was proven wrong by cognitive scientists decades ago. Let's take a listen.
Guide dogs lead very interesting lives. For 10 or 12 years, they are in charge of guiding a blind person.
I got this recording from the U.S. Department of Education. They give a reading test every 2 years to a sample of kids.
Most guide dogs are born at a kennel.
This is a fourth grader who did well on the test, reading a passage about guide dogs.
The dogs train in large groups for about 3 months. And they know
But most kids don't do well on this test.
dogs are
In fact, a third of fourth graders read so poorly, they sound more like this.
just dogs lead very interesting.
This child gets through only a fraction of the passage and can't read several words that are key to understanding what's going on. Words like guide and blind.
Build 10%.
1 in 3 kids in fourth grade reads like this. How did that happen?
Hi, it is a thrill for a whole bunch of reasons to get this award for Sold a Story. It was so hard to make this podcast. I mean, it's always hard to make great audio, but this one was really, really hard. It was such a big story. We made a timeline that starts in the 1600s. So just getting our arms around it all and figuring out how to tell this complex tale, which is at its heart is about scientific research, and to tell that story with audio, there were definitely moments when it didn't feel possible. And it would not have been possible if not for the amazing team behind this project. I cannot say enough about my co-reporter, Christopher Peak. He is a record request king. He is so organized. He's so good with details, so good at tracking down old audio, so smart, so perceptive, such a great reporter. And you couldn't have a better partner on a reporting project like this. Our editor was Catherine Winter. She is a genius. You need her to be your editor someday. She can listen to a really terrible draft in a first edit and say something good about it, and then say what needs to be fixed for it to be better. And she's always right, even if sometimes I hope she's not right at first, but she always is. She's also a dear friend who was my editor for 15 years, and she isn't anymore, but I'm going to find a way for her to be my editor again. And Chris Julin, who is a master at pretty much everything and anything when it comes to making an audio piece. He's an amazing script editor, and he also mixes and does sound design. He even composes music. It's ridiculous how multi-talented he is, and you need to work with him too. And there are so many other people who I don't have time to name who were involved in pieces of this project, big and small. Thank you so much to all of you. On a personal note, getting this award has a ton of meaning for me. When I was a baby radio producer back in the 1990s, I worked for Johanna Zorn at WBEZ in Chicago. We were in a cubicle row together when she was coming up with the idea for Third Coast. I went to some of the earliest Third Coast conferences and dreamed of making stuff as good as I was hearing there. I don't know if we accomplished that, but I do know that winning this award feels really great. It's really an honor to be recognized by this community of people in particular. So thank you so, so much. And finally, I want to dedicate this award to all the kids out there, and adults too, who were not taught how to read in school. You deserve better. This one's for you. Thank you.
Created in 2020, the Audio and Bound category awards works anchored in audio that experiment with format, function, genre, and that go beyond the typical podcast feed or broadcast airwaves. We like to think about this as a call to audio producers, as well as to artists of all stripes and disciplines: performance, installation, theater, sound, and more. Above all, the Audio Unbound category awards creative and innovative work centered in audio, but that unspools its narrative across mediums and platforms, broadly defined. This year's Audio Unbound Award goes to Damon Pham for Promise Burden Prompt Origin Defense Palette Call. From Vietnam, Promise Burden Prompt Origin Defense Palette Call is a meandering poem/performance/essay/record where the author tries to work through some mental knots. Let's dive in.
That's what I want to start with. The words are more accurately like the little phrases too, because sometimes a phrase is different than the word in terms of like networks of associations. Because I kind of, that's kind of why I like the scattering of it, and then like delight and the mouth and the feeling in your mouth and rhythmness and pitch and space and the vibe of things and the placement of things and all these aspects engaging their awareness of their effect on us. That I think you can really, you can know something you already know, but like more, you can know it better, and knowledge is good sometimes. So yeah, the units, I want to start with the unit that I want to work with, right? Cutting up and pasting and repeating and playing and fixing, and yeah, this like this, like this, like this, like this, like yeah, this like this, like this, like this, like this.
Hey, I'm Damon. Thanks very much for this award. I've been a listener and fan of the Third Coast Audio Festival for a couple years, so it feels pretty special this year to be recognized as an artist. It was a pretty personal piece, so I have the usual thanks to my friends, family, community members, especially Laya and Phoebe for giving me feedbacks on an earlier draft. I was inspired by interludes in popular music, spoken word poetry, and a few like science fiction podcasts I had been listening to. So I'm thankful that there's places like Third Coast that foster work that is interested in the space in between these types of things. Thank you.
The Best Serialized Story category is the fastest growing category in the Third Coast competition and was created to award narrative audio stories that unfold over multiple episodes, chapters, or installments that build on a larger narrative or concept. Exactly how is open to the interpretation of the creator. The Best Serialized Story Award this year goes to You Didn't See Nothin' from the Invisible Institute and USG Audio. From the United States, You Didn't See Nothin' follows host Johannes LaCour as he investigates a decades-old story of a racial attack on a young kid in the Bridgeport neighborhood of Chicago. Let's hear from Johannes.
Press rewind. Back to 1997. The Bulls were reigning champs. Biggie had just been murdered like 6 months after Tupac.
After midnight, and a drive-by shooting occurred.
And I was a college student / weed dealer, living with my dad on the south side of Chicago, selling $10 bags of weed to the homies and going to class on the side. That's when I learned about what happened to a little black boy named Leonard Clark.
In Chicago tonight, a group of teenagers is charged with beating a black boy to a pulp and then boasting that they kept their neighborhood white.
Leonard Clark is still in a coma. Police say he was attacked by a group of white teenagers who used racial epithets as they beat him unconscious.
Leonard was a 13-year-old baby-faced little boy who lived in the projects. He rode his bike across the expressway into this white neighborhood, Bridgeport, in order to put air in his tires. Air cost 25 cents in his neighborhood, but in Bridgeport, the air was free. Hey, what's up? Thank you. Thank you, the Third Coast, for recognizing this piece of work that my team and I put 2.5 years of work into with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Thank you to, I gotta thank God for this experience, for this journey. 6 years ago, I was coming out of prison, and now to be receiving an International Journalism Award is huge. I hope it serves as a testament for everybody else who's been where I've been, that you can come up from under some terrible shit and do some really big things and be recognized for it. I want to thank everybody who we interviewed, everybody who participated, everybody who helped make it happen, from our audio team and the Invisible Institute to everybody that was interviewed in the podcast. I want to thank Lennar Clark for allowing us into his life. And I want to thank the city of Chicago for making a story that we were able to make a story of. Thank you, and we appreciate you a whole lot.
Best Documentary Short awards stories that are short on time, but not short on craft or ambition, and that deserve a bigger platform. Third Coast created this category in 2020 because we believe that short-form audio stories need more recognition and are a different conceptual beast than longer documentary projects. For this category, we're looking for stories that accomplish the extraordinary in 10 minutes or less. This year, the winner of the award for Best Documentary Short is Talia Augustidis for Checking One's Levels. From the United Kingdom, Checking One's Levels is a quiet piece about memory and loss and porridge. Here's Talia now.
This needs to be actually quite close to you.
Okay.
Can you tell me what you have for breakfast so I can check the levels?
Yes, the answer is probably I can't remember.
Really?
Oh no, porridge. Porridge and blueberries.
You always have the same thing for breakfast. It's not hard to remember. Okay, porridge and blueberries. Do you want to tell me what you've had for breakfast this morning?
Oh, if I can remember. Oh yes, I had.
As a hint. It's
porridge.
Yeah, it's over there.
Porridge and delicious berries.
Do you want to tell me what you had for breakfast this morning?
Honestly, I can't remember. Oh yes, I can. It's porridge, as usual.
I would like to thank the woman at the centre of this piece, Margot, and her family for letting me make it, even when it wasn't easy for them. It came about because I was a carer for Margot over lockdown, and I was also an aspiring audio producer, and we were recording a project together for Margot's family. And every day, as per my training, I would check the levels and ask Margot what she had for breakfast. And I thought it'd be quite a simple question. We had the same breakfast every single day. Blueberries and porridge, blueberries and porridge, blueberries and porridge. I can't eat blueberries and porridge anymore because we had it so much. But it wasn't a simple question because Margot has Alzheimer's and dementia, and every day her answer would be a little bit different. And I pitched the piece to Shortcuts Through Falling Tree, and it was picked up, and Eleanor McDowell was my exec, and I also want to thank Elle for the care and patience that she put into the piece and also had with me, because I was a brand new producer. This was my second ever piece. I didn't even know how to fade out audio volume. But actually in the end that was probably for the best, because it needed to be a simple piece. We actually spent more time deciding what not to do with the piece than deciding what to do with it, because we tried sound design, we tried some music, and it just, nothing worked. It needed to be simple and quiet and spacious and have room to breathe. And I feel like I should say something speechy and rousing, but all I want to say essentially is that I hope other people with power and executive producers treat pieces and people with that much care and patience, and that other production companies leave room for pieces that are quiet and don't have all the bells and whistles all the time. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you to Margot and to Elle and to Third Coast for this opportunity.
The Best Documentary Non-English Language Award was created to celebrate and promote outstanding audio work produced in languages other than English, from anywhere in the world. While entries in non-English languages may be considered for other categories, this category remains as a place to specifically celebrate a single excellent work in a language other than English. This year's Best Documentary Non-English Language Award goes to A Fantasy, a Lie, from Pauline Augustine. From Belgium, A Fantasy, a Lie is the story of Jayon, a Basque woman who joined the separatist movement ETA at the age of 18, but ended up in prison in Spain 40 years later. Let's take a listen.
C'est rien de spécial que je veux dire, alors il n'y a rien à cacher dans ma vie. Je suis accusée de quelque chose qui s'est passé il y a 40 années. Oui, 40 ans, oui, passé. Et aujourd'hui, justement, c'est une année que j'étais arrêtée à Gand, à ma maison, aujourd'hui, à 6 heures le soir. C'était le 18 novembre, que la police sont entrés comme des fous. Oui, en train de chercher un terroriste très dangereux. Attends un peu. Ça va être coupé, mais je vais te retéléphoner parce que chaque appel, c'est pour 8 minutes et maintenant, j'ai entendu le petit bruit.
I'm Pauline from Belgium, and as you can see, I tried so many times to record this speech. I had written a speech, but I'm just gonna do it naturally, go with the flow. So here I am. First of all, thank you, Third Coast, for this award. A Fantasy, a Lie is a really important piece for me because, first of all, it was my graduation piece. I studied radiophonic arts for 4 years at the Royal Institute of Cinema, Sound and Theatre, and it feels a bit odd to win a prize with a story, with a work about a woman whose life might end in jail. And it's about Gayone, who is here. And I want to thank her that she shared her story with me, that she trusted me, because we could only talk by telephone. So it was very intimate, but it was also not the easiest way to communicate. And I had a lot of ethical questions during the production process because it's a story about a political subject, about a woman that is in jail waiting for her trial. So some people told me, but that's really risky business. And I was lucky to have Katarina as my supervisor, my editor, my sounding board, with whom I talked a lot about these ethical questions and how to tell the story without making it too personal, but to also take a position in a way because I'm also a human being with an opinion and with feelings. So thank you, Katarina Smets, for your time and your great advice. Let me see. Thank you, Third Coast. Yes, check. Gayone. And her friends and her family. Very important because I met a lot of sweet people in Belgium, but also in Spain, in the Basque Country, and I'm really happy to have these people now in my life. Then Elias, thanks for the support and for your hours of listening to my complaints, to my happiness, like my highs and my lows. Thank you so much. My parents, my brother and my dog Achille, who was always waiting for his walk while I was editing hours and hours. So thank you everyone, and thank you Third Coast.
The Best Documentary category celebrates narrative audio stories that embrace and complicate traditions of documentary and nonfiction storytelling. Within this category, we welcome work that blurs genre and style, including the lines between fact and fiction. We're interested in sound-rich stories that innovate, inform, and inspire, stories that haven't been told before or are being told in a new way. The winner of the Best Documentary Bronze Award this year is for Freedom Diving from Kia Miaka Natisse and Invisibilia from NPR. Freedom Diving was written and reported by Kia Miaka Natisse with production and sound design by Phoebe Wang, and additional production from Ariana Gary Blee. Nina Patak was the supervising editor, and Liana Simstrom was the supervising producer. It was mastered by James Willits with fact-checking by Katie Daugert and Ida Pourasad. It first aired on NPR's Invisibilia. In Freedom Diving, Kia Miaka Natisse journeys to the bottom of the ocean looking for an answer to a single existential question. Can I be safe and free? Here's Kia.
After months and months of being in the house, the couch had a permanent divot for my butt. My voice diaries got more and more mundane, narrating the petty drama outside my window.
Looks like some sort of pit mix. It's adorable, beautiful dog, big body, not trained at all.
Most evenings, I end up stretched out on my couch, propped on a pillow in my PJs, scrolling Instagram and crushing candies on my phone. I was sequestered in this little apartment island to feel safe, but that came at a cost. I felt disconnected, not only from other people, but also myself.
Who are dogs without humans? Once again, I want liberation.
I'm tired of watching the world behind the glass, alone. I'm damn near collecting dust.
Woof, woof, woof.
Hi, I'm Kia Miaka Natisse, and I am so grateful to the universe to have this moment to accept this award for a piece I made called Freedom Diving, which was made during a really, really difficult moment in my life. The original question of the story was actually, should I quit my job? But that posed some challenges that we weren't ready to navigate. So instead we pivoted the story to be about freedom, which a lot of times quitting your job is about freedom. I think freedom requires bravery, it requires bold action, and sometimes in doing that, you will be met with resistance. The story actually wasn't greenlit when I was doing the field reporting with Zandi, so I recorded the bulk of the field tape on my phone. I really wanted to make something artistic and something that was really going to break the format of Invisibilia, and obviously breaking things is challenging. There's so much force that I had to push against. But I'm really, 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 really grateful to Phoebe Wang, my partner and collaborator in this piece, who really was able to honor the vision of the story and help birth it into that direction. The secret sauce to our collaboration, to me, was trust, time, rest, and snacks. We just acknowledged our bodies as a part of the artistic process, and I'm really, really grateful to have had that experience and to have it result in a piece that is being acknowledged in this way. Even though, it's a bittersweet win because I got laid off, as well as a few other staff from Invisibilia. Of course, I was mostly okay with it because I wanted to leave anyway. It's unfortunate that such an important show to my own development as a maker and a listener is no longer in existence. But I hope people continue to make work like this regardless of whether or not it gets a bunch of money or even wins awards. It was transformational for me to make. I hope it was transformational for you to listen to. As you can tell, I'm no longer in Buffalo. I moved to Costa Rica, and the other day I was in the water with a bunch of Black people, which is my favorite way to be in the ocean with my community. And someone asked me if I was living my best mermaid life. And they had no idea about this story or the award or any of it, but it was just such perfect timing because I am. And I'm so grateful to everybody, especially Zandile and Globu, for introducing me to the beauty of being a free Black person. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Phoebe. Thank you, Nina, Liana, all the staff at Invisibilia, even the people at NPR who laid me off. It all worked out in the end. And I'm just really grateful for the journey that I'm on, and I continue to look forward to new spaces and ways of making. Thank you.
Best Documentary Silver goes to Erica Heilman for Finn and the Bell. Finn and the Bell was produced by Erica Heilman for Rumble Strip, with special thanks to Tara Reese, Claire Dolan, Amelia Meath, and Tobin Anderson. From the United States, Finn and the Bell isn't a story about suicide. It's a story about a boy called Finn who loved to fish and play baseball and write poetry and embroider, and what happens to a small Vermont community as it staggers forward after an unspeakable tragedy.
Lyle and Finn would, every day for hours, that was the sound of summer, was like the sound of a ball getting into a glove. Come on, Lyle, like, let's go outside. And I find baseballs in the yard, in the field all the time still. Because before we had the sheep, the grass would just get too big and they'd lose them. The ball, that sound. I'd give just about anything in the world to hear that. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Erica Heilman. I'm the producer of Rumble Strip, which is a podcast, an independent podcast set here in central Vermont and East Calais. I live about 20 minutes away from Hardwick, which is where Finn and the Bell was set. I am so honored to receive this award, particularly from my people. I learned to make radio here alone in my house, and mostly reading articles on transom. And then I got to go out to Third Coast in Chicago, and I was suddenly surrounded by people who were like, me. They were all these avid people who ask a lot of questions and then follow up, why did you say it that way? And what were you thinking? And all these people who felt like my tribe. So I am especially honored to receive this award from you all. I want to thank the people of Hardwick who agreed to talk with me for this story when it was really, really hard to talk with me for this story. Particularly, I want to thank Finn's mom, Tara Reese, who is just an extraordinary human and is the beating heart of this story. About a year after that story was made, Tara and our friend Rose Friedman and I started an organization called the Civic Standard in Hardwick, which in many ways answers to Finn's sort of central wish, which was to have a bonfire where everybody comes. The goal of the Civic Standard is to find ways to make a culture from the inside out, where culture is what we all want it to be, and where everybody's invited and everybody comes. So that could be karaoke, it could be opera at the American Legion Hall with a spaghetti dinner, and it's working. It's a almost magical thing to watch happen. And right now we are experiencing a devastating flood here in Vermont, or we're in the aftermath of it. And Hardwick was hit really hard. And the Civic Standard is at the heart of the recovery efforts. again, because they have sort of embraced organizations all over town, people and organizations all over town. So good things are happening. And once again, I'm incredibly grateful to all of you. And I hope that when we do this again, we can do it in person. So I hope to see you again at Third Coast sometime in the coming years. Thanks so much again.
The winner of this year's Best Documentary Gold Award is I Remember His Look, the story of a soldier and a migrant. I Remember His Look, the story of a soldier and a migrant was created by Sigita Vegite, Waida Pilibaitite, and Adamas Zube. It was produced in Lithuania. This is the first time in Third Coast history that a project in a language other than English has won the Best Documentary Gold Award. From Lithuania, I Remember His Look, the story of a soldier and a migrant, is the story of two people, one guarding the border, the other crossing it illegally, and the circumstances that brought them together. Let's hear from them now.
Paklausiau, ką gamini valgyt. Sako, dabar pjaustau svogūną. Ir ten kažkaip taip sureagavo, kad skauda akis, apsiverksiu nuo svogūno.
The onion makes me cry.
Taip paklausiau, su kuo pjaustai.
It's a can opener, you know?
Ai va, nuo skardinės tą dangtelį pasiėmęs.
Let me show you.
Taip atsuko, parodė kamerą. Sakau, geras peilis.
Yeah. And okay, it will fall down. Oops. Okay.
Dalies jo gyvenimo tikrai nežinau. Jisai pats man nepasakojo, galbūt dėl to, kad aš jo ir neklausiau.
Hi everyone, it's an honor to be here and address you on this very special occasion. I think you have no idea how much winning the Third Coast Award means to our team and our small audio feature makers community in Lithuania. There are some 10 people working on audio documentaries in total, so you can imagine how all we are delighted. It means a lot, really. There are a lot of people I am thankful for, and I must mention some of them. First of all, Vaida and Adomas, thank you for all your support and help. And also I'm very thankful to Domas and Bacha, the protagonists of this documentary, for their contribution and trust. This migration crisis has not been a natural one. It's orchestrated by the Minsk regime hand in hand with the Kremlin. In the most cynical way, they have taken advantage of the desire of thousands of people to get to Europe. I found Doma's story by chance, and it was exactly what I was looking for. The inner conflict reflecting what's going on the ground, reflecting this confusion between human rights and national security. Eventually the story unfolded being about much more than just one migration crisis. And the first place, it's about humanity and connections, how we all are linked in one way or another. And speaking about connections, I have to mention the war in Ukraine, because back to 2021, at the peak of this migration crisis, Russia started gathering its troops on Ukraine's border. And a half a year later, it started its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And this war has been affecting us also in many ways. And what we know now, that Ukraine is defending our freedom also and our region. This brutal and colonial war has taught us how it is important to listen to Ukrainians, to listen them telling us their own story, talking about those hundreds of years of Russia's occupation and of oppression of Ukraine and other nations, including Lithuania, my home country. back to my documentary, for me it was crucial to understand reasons why Bacha decided to choose illegal way to go to Europe, to learn more about him and his past. So I think the best what can we do is to tell our own stories and to listen others doing so. And today I'm very glad to be heard as an audio documentary producer from this Eastern European country. So thank you a lot for this recognition, and have a nice evening.
Every single submission entered into the Third Coast Richard H. Driehaus Foundation competition is automatically considered for the Director's Choice Award. Our listening team at Third Coast listens to every single submission entered into the competition each year and reserves the Director's Choice category to shine a light on an exceptional audio story that belongs in the year's cohort of winners. The winner of the Director's Choice Award is His Saturn Return from the 11th of Pineapple Street Media. His Saturn Return was written by Cy Sion and stars Cy Sion, Himia Freeman, Jojo Farrell, Sajda Waite, Amber J. Phillips, Isaiah Thompson, David Gerard, and Ngofen Mbutubwele. It was produced and edited by Leela Day, Jessica Jupiter, Chloe Persinos, Max Linsky, Jenaway Sperman, Alexis Moore, Kristen Torres, Asha Suluja, and Eric Mennel. It featured sound design and music by Eric Mennel, Davey Sumner, James Rowland, Raj Makija, and Arthur Kinsey. Sharon Bartolace and Raj Makija were the engineers. Grace Cohen-Chen, Moira Curran, Hadim Dang, Kurt Courtenay, Meredith Rice, and Jonathan Konda provided marketing and visuals. His Saturn Return was first published on the 11th from Pineapple Street Studios. From the United States, the 11th, His Saturn Return, is a travel through time and space to meet Duran Durag on the brink of his Saturn Return.
Della!
Yes, Duran?
Read my Trinity chart.
I'd be happy to. Your moon is in Gemini, meaning you think in layers but are trapped in your multifaceted nature.
Trapped?
Your mission there will be to focus on reading into things outside of yourself.
Rude.
You have a sun in Sagittarius, meaning you will never be satisfied with what you decide.
But
your mission there will be to save what's most precious to you or lose it entirely.
Oh, bitch. Wait a minute.
And finally, your ascendant is in Aries, meaning you present as a hot-blooded, needy child. Your final mission will be to tame that child.
Spot on.
From the bottom of my heart, and so thankful and appreciative of everybody who lent themselves to this project. The sound designers, the performers, both like seasoned and new people who got their start on this show, specifically this episode, and just so thankful for the creators of the 11th and for Pineapple Street for even entertaining the idea of a mystery box show filled with producers and writers and audio artists who would have never had a chance, like me, to escape from the danger of a single story, right? So that's why I'm so grateful for Third Coast recognizing His Saturn Return as the piece of art that it is, with the intent of this art healing as well as entertaining. And I've been talking, so now it's Jess's turn.
Well, sorry, I could not say it better myself, so I will not try. I am grateful for this award and for what it means to Black storytellers, what it means to Black science fiction lovers, what it means to Black artists, Black creatives, Black voice actors, Black producers. I'm just grateful for what it represents and what it will allow to continue to take up space in these industries. And yeah, more to come. So stay tuned.
Always more to come. And on that note, I'm going to end this with the same way we end the show, which was with a Shakespearean sonnet. And I'm not DJ Saturn, but I'm going to do my best and deliver this ending sonnet, the Saturn Sayonara sonnet. So yeah, we stand Duran's journey and renaissance. He found the truth in cosmic messages. We loved how he took action in response, proof that he a true Sagittarius. We have slain the cis white male straight gaze with something queer and intergalactic, but to the audience goes all the praise. Thank you for tripping our light fantastic. When things get hard, chill with us in deep space. You must reclaim your time and beliefs then. To us, relinquish the pains you have faced, but first embrace the passage of seasons. This break from life is what you've earned. Signing off is your host, DJ Saturn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sai, for that closing benediction. Thank you all again for joining us, and congratulations to all of our winners. On behalf of Third Coast, wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.